Hello, this is Mwago David, your real estate and property coach. Today we are looking at something very important, 10 amazing things to consider when investing in real estate. Anywhere in the world, this will work for you. Number one thing to look at is, who are my neighbors? Over the years, I've stayed in communities that were majorly occupied by retirees. As a young man, I do not have so much, even though I have a lot of wisdom to glean from them, but as an investor, as a young fellow, as someone that is upward and mobile, you don't have so much to glean from retirees. When you get to such an environment, these are environments and communities that have existed for more than 30, 50, 80 years. So what you find is, you have young men that over the years, they grew, and as they grew, they became grandfathers. And while they became grandfathers, their children left such an environment, and you don't see young people moving in. So when you have such a place, it's not for a young man that is upward and mobile. So the question you ask is, who are my neighbors? Who are my neighbors? A few years ago, I told my wife, we moved into this environment almost 20 years ago, but our neighbors are becoming, of course, retirees, so we may have to start considering neighborhoods that is for upward and mobile people. Except there are some other factors which you are going to be looking at. You may have to move from such environment, or you don't stay in such environment, because over the years, except the price have reached, which are some of the things I'm going to mention in a peak, you may have to leave such environment and go to places where you are inspired by your colleagues, by your neighbors, and by people around you. Number two, you look at the pricing. When you are making investment in real estate, you must look at the price. If a property is overpriced over the years, it corrodes and erodes and destroys your investment. Every time you see where properties or whatsoever is overpriced, it regulates itself. Where you see a protest, a price protest. I've seen neighborhoods, I've seen communities where there are price protests. People don't want to put in money again. They feel it's overhyped. They feel, why should I put in such amount of money in such properties? And they don't want to invest there. That's where you see a price revolt. What happens is, you have many properties lying fallow. It's like nobody's coming in. Those that bought it are speculators. They can't sell because they feel it's overpriced, so nobody's willing to come in there. That's what they call price revolt. Number three thing you have to consider when making a property investment is the kind of businesses coming up around such environment. It's wisdom that I take my money, because Dangote is having a project in the Dangote refinery axis of Eleko. I stake some funds there, I fence it, put facilities and the rest of them there. The reasons are, Dangote, from my projection, will be employing over 300,000 staff. And they will need housing, they will need accommodation, they will need markets, they will need a number of things, schools, and what have you, medicals, facilities, so many things. So when I stake my hard-earned money into such environment, over the years I reap, because there is no other place they can go to except around the corridors of such investment. Number four, is it sellable? Marketability of your property is very key. You don't keep a property for 3 months, 6 months. When it's staying beyond 3 months, 6 months, it's either for reasons of government policies, for reasons of paucity of funds within the economy. But if it's going beyond 3 months, 6 months, then there are issues. So at that point, you start to consider if the property is having title, C of O, if it's having excision, if it's having gazette, basic title. Where there are no title, that property cannot go. So when you are making investment in real estate, you must ask yourself, can I be able to sell it after a while when I need money? Where you want to sell when you need money and it doesn't have some of these factors, what happens is you sell at a discount. You see a property of 10 million, they are offering at 6 million or 5 million, and which does not make sense for an investor. So when you are making investment, you must ask yourself, is it sellable? What are the things that will make it sell? I had a friend of mine years ago, not far from where I was staying. He was coming in to invest, and I told him, why not look at a certain place? And he asked me, what are the criteria? So I asked him to invest there. I said, look, we are built to this place. The next place development should go is the next plot. Why not you have so and so money, put into this number of plots? And he bought 10 plots then. The last building, then he's the 10 plots facing the road. And of course, after 6 months, People kept coming to knock on his doors. They want to buy, they want to buy. He bought 2 million and he sold at 12 million per plot. And of course, I told him, look, the next thing you should do is take the money, go to the next place development is coming to. And that's what he kept doing. And of course, it's okay and it's comfortable. And that's what I've been doing over the years. So you must ask yourself, is it sellable? Is it marketable? What are the factors, what are the forces of demand and supply that is going to push the price increase? Number 5, is the property well laid out? Layout for every property is very important. As a matter of fact, the layout is as important as your building. You don't find a decent, beautiful house and no way to drive in where they park on the major road. Nobody wants to invest there. So the layout is very important. You must ask when making investment that provide the estate layout, provide the government layout, provide the building layout. The layout is as important as the property. As a matter of fact, every property is being sold as a result of the orientation, how the property looks, what the layout looks like. So when you are buying, ask yourself, is there a layout? Number 6, which is also a follow-up to this, is the absence or presence of shanties. Where you have so many shanties around where you are living, nobody wants to rent, nobody wants to buy. So you must ensure that you avoid places that have too many shanties. I invested somewhere years ago when I was just a greenhorn, when I was still learning the real estate. And of course, it was cheap, so I bought a lot. Over the years, each time I was taking clients to my site, either you are seeing a lady trying to pour pepper water on the road, or you are seeing another one trying to wash the butt at the bum of the child, and what have you. And all the clients I was taking to my property kept saying the same thing. We can't live in such an environment where people may wash and bathe on the major express. So it's a bad investment for someone to put his money into a property with so much presence of shanties. Even in any part of the world, you must avoid that, except you have the capacity to buy up the shanties at the same time. Number 7, you may have to add some form of value to your property if you are going to sell. I will tell you something that happened recently. I bought these 2 plots from a neighbor who needed money, and I paid him for the 2 plots. And first and foremost, I checked why was he not selling, and why was he selling 10 million, even though I know that the property was valued 20 million per plot. So I bought from him the 2 plots, and I knew that the issue was the road, and number 2 was the fence. So what I did was to spend additional little money to add a little more trip of sand to get any buyer or whoever to the major property. Then I did little fencing. It didn't take me 2 weeks to sell. I sold at 22 million each plot. What am I bringing out? You may add a little value to your investment or whatever you have. What my friends do overseas is they buy houses that are run down. The values have been eroded and corroded over the years. They put in a little money to renovate. When they renovate, they sell sometimes double the price of the property. Real estate is a sweet thing to do. It should be a lifestyle. It's something you just want to do, and you make a lot of money from it as a lifestyle. But 8, you must ask yourself, have I taken possession? When you are investing, as much as you are investing, it's important that you take possession of your property or of your real estate investment. Buying a land without having some form of fence or level of possession is like having an empty property. Not recently, I was preparing to go to work in the morning, and I was hearing a lot of shouts on my street. And of course, I peeped from outside to know what the problems were. And the argument was, a neighbor bought a property and left for United States. After 9 years, he returned back to Nigeria. Somebody had gated, somebody had put fence, and a young boy, he went to the fence, went to the gate, pulled out one portion of the gate. It was a massive gate. He pulled out a portion with his bare hands, and he got a lot of injuries. And his sister was holding him. He had lost that. He went paranoid. You can't buy a property for 9 years and left it bare and went. You are dealing with vipers. You are dealing with wicked people. So when you are buying, it's important. I tell clients, if you don't have the money to take basic possession, keep your money. I don't want to come to answer for something that I don't know anything about over the years. If you are buying basic possession, take it and leave it there before traveling or before walking away from your property. If you have not taken possession, you don't have a property yet. Number 9 is about the title. And this is something I talk a lot about. When you're investing in real estate, you must also be sure that and ensure you have your title. You have a deed of assignment. I've done so much talking about that. You have your contract of sale. You have your receipt. And you go ahead to do a clean and proper title on your property. You don't just buy a property without any documentation. I've seen so many investors, so many clients talk about their bought, that they want to go, they will come back for their title, they want to come back for the deed of assignment. After a while, they are not ready, prepared for that. You have not bought anything. You can't take what you don't have a document over or on. If there are legal contests, or if the government come tomorrow that they have interest in the property, it is some of these documentation, like survey plan, like your deed, that they can use to compensate you. Without any documentation, the government have nothing to compensate you on. Trust me, I will share this with you. A friend recently, my mechanic, he came and he said he needed a property. And I sold something to him somewhere, not far from his former workshop. And he bought 6 million naira. And he was so excited, he fenced it, did the papers and the rest of them, and walked away. 3 or 4 months after, they knocked on his doors that somebody was interested in property. Not for sale, but this time they want to put like a project on it, mast on it. And of course, they negotiated, and he made almost the money he used to buy it. But if he had not taken paper, he had no paper on it, whoever sold to him could have come back and said, well, you don't have a paper, there is no obligation to you, I want to use it, I want to refund your money. What you just do is to collect the money from the telecom company and return back to this young man, and he has his property and is collecting tenancy on it every number of years. So when you are buying, it's important that you have your title and documents in your care and your hand.